Hello everyone, it's DuckFairy07. Today I'm playing a Dimir ring control in Timeless on Arena. Okay, so my initial thought was try to make the Flame of Inner Wizard style control in Timeless, and I ended up missing some wildcards, and in the process I ended up making this Dimir list, which I really liked a lot. Okay, so what do we have here? We have some really strong threats like Sheoldred, we have Orcish Bowmasters, we have Delver of Secrets. Delver of Secrets is great in this format because we have Brainstorm, and also it's great in this deck because I have a whole bunch of instant and sorceries here. Okay, so other than that, we got Snap, we got Sheoldred, we got one of Borrower, Bowmasters of course, and Oracle of the Alpha. So this is the arena only card, and this guy is a 3 mana wizard, and it's also 3 mana wizard. When it enters the battlefield, it creates all the power 9 cards and puts them into your library. Okay, so I think this effect is very strong in a ring deck. So this deck is based about resolving the one ring and then winning with the one ring card advantage. I think having free access to free mana from Moxes, from Black Lotus, I think this is definitely a way to use this. So I think Oracle of the Alpha has a potential in a deck like this. As I said, this is arena only card, and I think the being wizard makes it a bit more playable. Also, it's very cool card to that enables you to play the Ancestral Recalls, Time Twister, Moxes, Black Lotus in your Timeless deck on Arena, which is like really cool. Okay, so other than that, we got standard stuff like removal, counterspells, a card draw, a dig through time, and yeah, of course we also have one Mystic Sanctuary here. Despite having Otawara and Drowned Catacomb, Mystic Sanctuary, I had it still working really nice and fine. I really like it in a build like this. It's a control type of deck and has a really good consistent and not painful mana base. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so let's check out my stats with this deck. So I got so far 12-6 with this deck, mainly playing best of 1, and I think this is not ideal deck to play best of 1. I think this deck would do much better in a best of 3. It has a sideboard. I forgot to show the sideboard actually. So here is the sideboard. We got some counterspells, we got Narset when you're playing against other one rings or beanstalks, whatever, some graveyard hate in Cling to Dusts, additional removal, land hate, and that is it. Okay, so I think this deck would do better in a best of 3, but still done pretty good in best of 1. It has cheap creatures, cheap removal and cheap interaction, and when you pair this with the one ring and the Sheoldred card advantage and the life drain, it works pretty good. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so that's that, and let's go to the gameplay and see some matches. Okay, so in the match 1, opponents was playing first. I kept a decent hand. They start with Inquisition, of course, taking my Bowmaster. What else? Brainstorm is actually not really turn 1 play. You mostly want to play this card when you have a fetch on the field. So I keep it for a turn 2. I can then hold the counterspell and the Brainstorm in my hand, pass the turn. Yeah. Oracle, the Ring, and the Sheoldred, these are the cards that when you resolve and get them going, it really easily wins you the game. Okay, so I had multiple options here. I really wanted to play this Fatal Push, of course, but I also wanted to go for the Brainstorm, so I decided to just let my opponent get the Connive ability and play the Brainstorm plus push this turn, kill the Shredder, and find some more lands I need to get the one ring on the field. I was thinking a bit what to put down. I really wanted all the cards, and I wanted to see how this Oracle feels, but in the end I decided to put it on the top, then shuffle and play my spell. Of course, kill the Sheoldred with a push and pass the turn. So opponent on their turn, they go for expressive iteration. And my next turn can be pretty decent. So I have Delver in Secrets and Counterspell. But I draw into Brainstorm, I have Fetch in hand, so again it's like tempting to go to start the turn with the Brainstorm, and I definitely had some options. I didn't really want to let them connect with Ragavan. I was hoping to find the Bowmaster. Bowmaster would be so good in a situation like this, but also having Brainstorm helps if my opponent actually connects with Ragavan, so I know I can just put a card on top I want to get rid of, so I know my opponent is not going to get anything great, so connecting doesn't really hurt that much. Okay, so here it is. I put one of the counterspells on top and the Delver, so I want them to take the counterspell and I draw the Delver for a turn. I also decide to shock in Watery Grave so I can hold one of my counterspells. Opponent goes for the attacks, of course, plays the Swamp. So they connect with Ragavan, taking my counterspell from the top, and of course if they have something, this counterspell can help them resolve it, but they go for the Totsis here. I don't really care what do they discard here. They have plenty of bad choices. Of course my opponent has my counterspell from top, which can help them to resolve something they want. But they mostly play like cheap spells. If they want to use blue mana, they don't have mana for counters, so that's totally fine. Opponent decides to go for the Shredder, which opens up the possibility of using my counterspell this turn and then resolving the One Ring on the next turn, which is definitely a great path. So I use the counterspell on the Shredder there, then resolve my One Ring. Also I have the Mystic Sanctuary. I could use the maybe I should have used the Mystic Sanctuary here, but to get the Fatal Push on top. But I decided not to. I decided to hold it still. And yeah, I go for ring activation. A lot of options here. I can just go. I'm pretty sure they don't have a counterspell, so I can just resolve another ring if I want. But I decide to go for the Snapcaster route. Maybe just putting Fatal Push on top was the best option. But this was totally fine too, like going for Delver plus a Snapcaster to block the Ragavan, kill the DRC, play another tapped land, and yeah, that's like pretty good here. Opponent goes for the Breach, and this can be a problem if they can find a Bolt, but yeah, maybe I think opponent should have gone for second DRC and then play whatever. I think going for the second DRC would be best for them here, since they will be able to play bunch of Mishra Bubbles, and yeah. But they decided to go for the Totsis first, and then second Totsis, discard both of my rings, but I already have one ring on the field, so it's kind of a risky play for them. They also lose 4 life to do this. Sure, they take my 2 rings and play 1 bubble, but yeah, that's kind of not good enough. So I draw the Fatal Push for a turn, draw 3 more cards with the ring. And I can do now whatever I want, so I could go for the Fatal Push. I have 2 Delvers, I have Oracle of the Alpha. Yeah, but I go for a Delver, then Brainstorm, find another Delver, and put a Counterspell on top. This is like a whole bunch of Delvers. I'm losing 3 life from the One Ring on the next turn, but I have a bunch of damage going in next turn, and opponent doesn't find a solution here. They have expressive into shadow or whatever, but that's not like nearly good enough. And I have 2 delvers flipping, and opponent sees, they flip and concede, so that is the game. Let's check out another one. Okay, so I included one of Bind to Secrecy. This is also another arena only card. It's a really cool card, enabling you to counter non-creature spell, but it can also copy creature from opponent's graveyard. And if you have like 5 different types in your graveyard, you also create a token of random card from its library, let's say. Okay, so yeah, pretty cool card. I was really interested in trying the one-off. I think it is decent as a one-off, a 5th counterspell for this type of list. I was pretty happy with it. Okay, so opponent goes for the Ragavan Dash, which is perfect for my Bowmaster. And finally I cast the Oracle guy, conjure the Power 9 and into my library. And yeah, I decide to go for the threat and not hold the counterspell this turn. Like 3 mana. They have Flame of Fener, but I didn't feel like they were going to play anything really extremely relevant to this turn yet, so I go for Alpha. So I find my 4th land here, which I need to cast the Sheoldred or whatever. Now I can pass the turn holding double counters. My opponent, I'm definitely need to do something about these fairies. I had Polluted Delta at this point on top. I was thinking what to do with it for a long time, and I decided to put it on the bottom. Yeah, so I had multiple options here. This is that Bind to Secrecy card, a pretty cool card. Yeah, you draft a card from a spellbook. This is like arena wording for this arena type style cards. I had some options here. I didn't play it perfectly. I decided to use the Bind to Secrecy here. Okay, so again, I had option to hold double counter or and maybe like dig through time, or just jam the Sheoldred, hope to resolve it. My opponent fairy is going to attack next turn. I also can't really attack. I can't attack into the fairy too, so I go for the counterspell on this snap here. Opponent starts attacking with fairy, and yeah, so fairy is a problem. They have war too, so you need a lot of mana. You need a lot of mana to get rid of them. They're really annoying to deal with. Okay, so I decide to use the Bind to Secrecy here. I conjure a duplicate of target creature card in opponent's graveyard in your hand. So basically I copy the snap from their graveyard and And also the really nice thing about Arena is that you have this counter here that tracks how close are you to stuff like Delirium, or in this case like the second ability of this card, stuff like that. Okay, so I go try to copy the snap. They play Brainstorm in response and counter my spell. I have a draw into the One Ring, which is great, especially since I have the Sheoldred in my hand. I also have the Dig into time, which is looking at 7 cards. That is a lot, and I decide to go for the Dig first. So look at top 7, find 2 I need, and I definitely want a land. Also Black Lotus, how cool is that? And I was actually missing like 1 mana this turn to play both Sheoldred and the One Ring. That would be like really powerful if I could take like Black Lotus plus land. I had 7 mana, so I was missing 1. Yeah, unfortunately, if I had land in hand, I could take like Mox Sapphire and Black Lotus and go One Ring plus Sheoldred, start gaining life, drain them for 2. This is like pretty much unbeatable for my opponent's deck. Okay, so after some thinking, I'd go for I take Delver plus land and cast the One Ring, resolve the One Ring, and start drawing some cards. Okay, I had protection from everything, so I was able to attack here and draw and scry. So I decided to keep Mox on top again with Mox, and if I draw a land, I have again I would have like 8 mana. So this is why I like the free mana in One Ring deck. You always have a bunch of cards you want to play out, and having like stuff like Mox, Black Lotus in your deck can really help this. So opponent has Flame of Feigner. That is their best card, so 2 fairies I need to get rid of, and they're drawing some cards from the Flame of Feigner. It's really good for them. So I draw 2 more from the ring here. Delvers are really useful. Delvers are really useful here because they trade with fairies if they flip, so really important for me. I go for another. I don't want to take like 6 damage from fairies here, so I try to resolve a ring. Opponent has memory lapse, but this is fine. This is fine because I'll probably be able to resolve One Ring next turn, and then I have the third one, and I also have the Sheoldred. So unless my opponent has like really some strong stuff in their hand, the One Ring can take a game like this really easily. Okay, opponent goes for a third fairy, and I know the top card of my library is the One Ring, and here I draw the Ancestral Recall I conjured into my deck. So once I draw this, I decide to change my game plan. I really wanted to gain life with the Sheoldred, and I already used the One Ring ability, so Ancestral Recall was really perfect. Really cool. Also I have the Counterspell backup, really important. Okay, so I was able to go for the recall and gain this with Sheoldred on the field. This is actually like gain 6. Also my Delver is flipped, which means I can block another fairy with it, and gaining 6 with Sheoldred puts me totally in the safe zone. Also opponent, I have the Counterspell backup to make sure I resolve this. Opponent only has Spell Pierce, so I can just pay the mana for this. And yeah, here I draw 3, gain 6. Opponent has a Tidebinder. But for the Sheoldred, but I already have 3 abilities resolved. So that's that. And yeah, Mystic Sanctuary, putting recall on the top, and I have Snapcaster in hand. This means I can draw 3 with recall on my turn, and then use the Snapcaster to draw 3 more. Pretty sick. Opponent had Tidebinder here to get rid of my Sheoldred abilities, but this is fine. I have plenty of ways to try to get rid of it. And yeah, here my opponent top decks the Bolt and plus the One Ring. Pain, I almost died, but now I have a bunch of cards in my hand to try to win this game. I need to kill the Tidebinder to make my Sheoldred gain life. This is the easiest way to win this game. So I start my turn by drawing 4 cards with 1 ring, and then just resolving one of my rings. This way I trigger the Fatal Push, so now I can use my Fatal Push to kill the Tidebinder because I have the Revolt. Yeah, triggering Revolt with 1 ring is not something you see every day, but yeah, here it is. And now I was able to, I was not able to use the recall immediately because I had protection from the ring, but I could do it on their upkeep. They have 0 cards in hand, and that means like gain 6, so yeah, that's that, and that was the game. Opponent concedes. Let's check out another one. Okay, so you can notice that with this deck, in comparison to the previous decks I show on my channel, like Grixis Lurus or 5-color Zoo, you can notice that definitely the games last longer and they're kind of more interesting, more stuff happening. You need to work more to win, of course, but for those who like this style of gameplay, I think it's pretty interesting to play and fun. Yeah, opponent was playing some Orzhov deck, I think with Necropotence, aggro style deck. Okay, my hand, I didn't have anything special here, but it's fairly easy to get to dig through time mana, and I also have Sheoldred in hand, a Delver on field. Opponent not doing much. It's amazing how well Delver flips in decks like this. I have a bunch of instant sorceries and 4 brainstorms, and that seems like totally enough to like consistently, very consistently trigger it. Okay, so I wanted to play the Sanctuary tapped here because I was planning on probably playing the Sheoldred next turn. My Delver flipped, so I was able to start attacking, hold the Counterspell for their turn, then go for the Sheoldred on my turn. Seemed like a pretty good curve. Opponent has Dimir on the field, attacking. Then killing my Delver with the Erebus thing, and yeah, as planned, I was able to go for the Sheoldred on my turn and hoping that my opponent doesn't have another removal for it. They're attacking with Dimir, which probably says that they can't kill the Sheoldred right now, but yeah, they have Extinction Event, which is okay, they kill their guy too. And yeah, multiple options here, but I think best one is while they're tapped, while they don't have like a Bowmaster, is go for the Lórien, draw 3, and this puts me in a great position. Control deck in the mid game, having so much cards, no threats on the field, and they only have like Bowmaster. Yeah, so on my turn I was able to like go Bowmaster, kill their Bowmaster, play Delver, hold the Counterspell. Pretty much game over for the opponent. Opponent actually finds a Bojuka Bog to mess up my dig, and they had Necropotence here, which luckily I had a Counterspell. If they resolve the Necropotence, they had a bunch of mana, so they would probably be back in game since they were on 18 life, so they will be able to draw bunch of cards. Luckily I had that Counterspell and another Bowmaster, and ring on the field. This was too much and sealed the game. Okay, so let's check out another game here. Okay, so keep playing first, keeping a decent hand. I have turn 1 threat, I have the push, I have Oracle, a dig. You don't really want to see dig in your starting hand, but it's incredibly powerful card, and for control deck like this I think I prefer dig through time, especially in the post board games, and especially if you're going to put like some really relevant cards in your deck that dig can find. For example, cards that can be like cards like mass removal. So at the moment I don't use mass removal, but I think it's definitely an option if metagame requires it. I have a decent amount of creatures in my hand, that is why I don't have mass removal at the moment. Okay, so here I had some options, but I decided not to hold the counterspell for their turn, but instead just to kill the Delver, attack for 3 and pass the turn. Opponent kills my Delver, and again same as me passing the turn, I'm screwed on 2 mana and seems like opponent is too. I holded Counterspell and Snapcaster since opponent didn't play anything and I'm screwed with mana. I decide to go for the snap, just start attacking. Here I got the third land. Fetch is nice in a situation like this. I decide to go for Watery Grave, so I'm sure I have 2 black mana for Sheoldred. If I draw another land, opponent goes for Bolt, I'm totally fine with this. I play the Oracle, again conjure the power 9. Really cool stuff. It's not overpowered. It's mostly underpowered for most decks, but I think decks like this, the One Ring deck with in Dimir colors that doesn't have that many threats available, I think this is a decent inclusion, and I really like how the power 9 work in the One Ring deck. I really think you make those Black Lotuses, Moxes into very useful cards. Cards you would maybe sometimes not be that glad to see. You're really glad to see it when you have the One Ring on the field doing stuff. Okay, so a lot of good cards in hand. I decide to put Borrower and Counterspell on top, pass the turn, holding Dig, holding Counterspell, also scrying with Oracle, which is pretty nice with Brainstorm, so I can get rid of the card on top I don't like. I save another Counterspell on top, one in my hand, and passing the turn. Opponent also finds a lens here, and they go for the Ragavan. They didn't. They have the Pierce, so they wanted. I guess they wanted to steal the top card of my library, which was totally fine by me. Another Counterspell is not something I can't go without. Okay, so another land from the top. I can attack with Oracle. Oracle, in a situation like this, becoming pretty powerful threat, so opponent has to deal with it. Okay, so here I decide to go for a Dig Through Time first. I had mana to pay for the Pierce. It seemed like a good time to try to resolve the dig. Opponent has the Memory Lapse, which is very good against Dig Through Time, because obviously I was forced to delve 6 to resolve it, and after my opponent used the Memory Lapse, I was able to play the Oracle and get rid of the dig from top. I don't want it anymore since I don't have cards in my graveyard. Looking for something else. Okay, so finding Lórien Revealed from the top. It is a good card in a situation like this. I can go like for draw 3. This can be very efficient. I start the turn attacking with Oracle. My opponent feels forced to go for a Snap Bolt. This means they're tapped out, so I can go for try to resolve either Lórien or Sheoldred, whatever. But my opponent is low on life, so Sheoldred could be very hard for them to deal with. I had Delver on top. And when I saw the Delver on top, I decided to go for the Lórien. I was hoping to get a land plus Delver, so I would be able to cast Delver immediately. Draw 3 cards while my opponent is tapped out. Opponent plays Brainstorm in response. I find the land to play the Delver, and yeah, this looks great. Next turn I can go Sheoldred plus Fatal Push. Opponent has Channeler and decides to attack with Ragavan. I hold my Delver, didn't trade with Snap. Maybe it was I was hoping to maybe try to find the Delver flip here, try to finish my opponent, do the lethal immediately. So Fatal Push on a Channeler if Delver flips, plus Sheoldred is possible lethal. So I go for the Sheoldred first. Opponent has a memory lapse there. I decide, I put Sheoldred on top is great. My opponent is low on life. Unfortunately, my Delver is not flipping again. So right now I'm probably just trading with whatever I can. Opponent goes Ragavan dash, and yeah, definitely want to trade with Ragavan here. So I take 3. And my opponent has 2 cards, but Sheoldred is on top, and if they can't deal with Sheoldred, then they'll definitely have problems. Opponent had Brainstorm, so that they decided to shock in the Steam Vents. This means Sheoldred has very quick clock against them. Also turns off their card row. Opponent is on 1 and finds the iteration on top, digging, trying to find probably like Flame of Fener, or I don't know if they play Heat or not. Yeah, digging for that spell, and yeah, the Mishra Bubble won't cut it because they lose life from the Sheoldred when they draw, and that is the game. Yeah. Okay, so let's watch another one, and that will be it. Okay, so here I started first with Counterspell, some Borrower and a Sheoldred. Decent hand, nothing crazy. Okay, so yeah, as I said, I'm playing one of Mystic Sanctuary, and despite playing stuff like Swamp, Otawara, Drowned Catacomb, in most situations I didn't have any problems with Sanctuary. Of course, sometimes you will be forced to play it like this, but it is totally okay. This is a control deck that can curve out despite having one land like this. Okay, so I was able to like jam the One Ring here. My opponent didn't have any blue mana, so I decided to go for it. If they play the Bowmaster, that is totally fine. I have Sheoldred Edict to kill the Bowmaster next turn. Also finding my Bowmaster is great. Yeah, finding my Bowmaster is probably the best thing to have right now. Opponent also playing the One Ring, so yeah, kind of a mirror, but they're Rakdos and I'm Dimir. Also, Sheoldreds and Bowmasters are also very good against them. They probably play both of these cards too, but yeah, I'm in a pretty good position right now, finding another land here and passing the turn with 2 counterspells and removal. I have everything I need here to win this game, and it's really hard for my opponent right now to get out of this. They need to go through counter, then through removal and Sheoldred next turn. Yeah, I decide to counter the bolt, force them to have another solution for my Bowmaster. Opponent plays Fable and attacks with Orc Army. I decide to let this resolve, and now if I get another land I can jam the Sheoldred plus a Counterspell. This is like really strong against their field. They have Ring and a Fable, so I'm also like gaining 6 here, which is amazing thing in this matchup. And that's it. I had some options here. I was able to either play Delver plus Fatal Push or just hold, discard 1 card and hold the Counterspell. I decided discard anything, whatever. Like I don't really need my Borrower here. So yeah, opponent can't really use the Fable or the One Ring efficiently here, and they're really locked out, especially since I have the Counterspell in my hand, and that's it. So that's another win. Okay, so I did great with this. Accidentally, I only recorded the wins. Yeah, I had my total score was 12-6. But I had one good run with this deck when I had all the wins, and I was recording at that time, so that's it. Okay, so Oracle, as I said, very cool card that can't really work everywhere, and it's not a good stuff card that is good in any deck. But I think with the One Ring deck in a control deck like this can really work nicely. You could see in multiple situations where this card was really relevant, and both Moxes seemed relevant in a build like this after you resolve the One Ring. Also having access to cards like Ancestral Recall, a Time Walk, a Time Twister, it's all incredibly powerful when you have 4 Bowmasters and 3 Sheoldred in your deck. It's like Time Twister can immediately just end a game with Sheoldred on the field. Also, I was amazed how good the Delver feels in a list like this, but also I played the EZ Delver Murktide style list. I was really impressed with how good Delver is on Arena. It dies to Bowmasters when it enters, similar to DRC, but it quickly turns into a 3/2 flyer, which is great. Okay, so that is it. I really like the sideboard like this, but I would definitely consider changing sideboard to add some mass removals. But yeah, all the cards I have here were very useful when I played some few best of 3s. And that's it. So I hope you liked the gameplay, hope you liked the video. Let me know in the comments how do you like this deck. I also wanted to do a Grixis variant with the Flame of Fener, as I said, jamming Snapcasters and Oracles as my wizards of choice. But yeah, was missing some wild cards for it, so I decided to go with this version first until I get more cards to play that version too. Okay, so that is it for today. Again, thank you for watching and goodbye.